People who were mentioned in someone's suicide note. What's your story? Around May 2nd years ago, my mother tried to commit suicide and I remember finding the note. After I found her. When I went to find her I thought she was somebody trying to break into our house, so I went and grabbed a knife. It turns out the noise I heard was her body flopping against the door. I ended up being able to make sure she was okay, but I think what killed me most was her note. She stated that my two sisters and I were all she had, and since we were growing up she didn't have us anymore. She wanted to leave this world so badly. I was thanked in my friend's suicide note. I was with him the night he passed. I didn't know he was going to do it. He just said he was upset and wanted to meet up for a smoke and a chat. I believe I was the last person to see him alive. It really hit me hard when I found out he had passed. That's really rough, but it sounds like he really loved and cared about you. He was a good friend. We'd known each other for about a decade. Went to the same school and lived around the corner from each other. He told me his secrets that he couldn't tell his girlfriend or family. Not really a suicide one, but an end-of-life goodbye one. He was sick and almost got through it, but at the end, with weak immune system, cold was enough to get inflammations on everything. He was almost 18. Till this day the perfect person for me. And most important of all, the only real rock I had, who was there from the moment we first met. He wanted to make me laugh. He always did that. Made a few jokes. Terrible ones, dead ones. Still made me laugh, and made the pain more durable. I miss those lame jokes. Sorry to hear of such a close loss. May the spirit of his jokes echo from those you now jest with too. It was my dad's note, telling us boys that he is so proud of the men we've become, and even just writing that now makes me cry happy and sad tears. It's been just over 4 years now. He was a great dad and had such a profoundly positive impact on who I am today. Even with how it ended, I couldn't ask for a better dad. He was something else. I'm a lucky kid. Wish he could see me now. I'm glad he knew my wife before he went. Wish he could meet my nephew. I love you, Dad. I still miss the hell out of you, you ornery old hippie. You're still my hero. Thank you for everything. Welp. Wasn't expecting that wave. Thank you. It's been a minute since I cried for him. He wanted me to know he loved me. That it wasn't my fault. That I was the best friend anyone could want or have. That I should have his car. That though he was going mad and was saving his brother and me from the madness. I showed the note to my therapist. She thinks he had schizophrenia. His mom did. It's been 6 years. I'm still not over his death. Doubt I ever will be. Schizophrenia is a horrific and depressing disease. My aunt has it. She's now 40 and lives in a trailer in my grandparents' front yard. When I was a little kid, she was normal as can be. Used to be a mill lady and had a fiancé. That person doesn't exist anymore. I'm sorry for your loss. I was a teenager and a close friend killed herself. She wanted me to have her music collection, leather jacket, and a screenplay she wrote. What is the screenplay about? It's a sci-fi based in the future where, depending on what tonic you drink, determines your placement in society. Netflix wants to know your location. He sent me a separate note the day before he did it. Thanks for existing. I love you. I just answered with love you too, bud. I had no idea. Damn, that's painful. Dude, 14 years ago now, and it all still haunts me. Your last words to him were those of love when you didn't know they were the last words you were telling him. You did good. When my stepdad, and the father of my 3 younger brothers, killed himself last month, he didn't leave a note. What he did do I didn't even know that was possible was queue up 3 texts, so they wouldn't be received until the morning after. At exactly 8 a.m. all 3 of my brothers received a text from him. To my 2 oldest brothers, 19 and 17. I love you forever. I'm sorry. I just can't live with this any longer. To my youngest 13. You are a very special boy and I'll love you forever XX. I asked my youngest brother if it had made it better or worse. He said worse. My amazing cousin killed himself when I was 16. He was 26. We found the note a few weeks later. He'd singled out immediate family members with love or goodbye note. No one else. Except his 4 siblings and parents. Then there was my mom, my brother, and then me at the bottom. You're going to grow up and be amazing, you're going to be a star. You don't know. Wait till your fav person in the world thinks the world of you, and that's the last thing they think before they die. And you have no idea how to live up to it. Haunting and inspiring. You don't forget it. A good friend of mine killed herself after her son died. She had always wanted nothing more in the world than to be a mother, and when her son was born we're all very happy for her. 2 years later, he was diagnosed with a rare genetic illness that was some kind of muscular dystrophy. It was a very slow, very painful process, and there was nothing she could do. Only watch as her son slowly lost his just newfound ability to crawl, talk and eat. After a year he was connected to all kinda of hoses keeping him alive. She had to feed him through a tube, his breathing through a oxygen hose was weak, and he looked miserable. After 2 more years at the age of 4 he died. We attended his funeral, we talked to her, and through all this she seemed so strong. She never let anyone see her weakness. But on the funeral day, she broke down and cried and told us what the hell she had been going through. She knew there was nothing she could have done to prevent this. That she wanted to be strong for her son even though he couldn't open his eyes for the last months. And how she sometimes wished for it to be over sooner, so he wouldn't suffer so long. One of her other friends said that it will get better, slowly but eventually, because she didn't know what to say. None of us knew, except those set phrases. A week later she had killed herself, but not before writing a personal note to each and every one of her friends and her family, explaining how she could never get over the death of her child and that we shouldn't be sad because she didn't end her life because she was sorrowful, but hopeful to see him again. We try to meet every year on her death day in a pub we used to drink. It's been 6 years since then. He just got back from Iraq Marine. He called me up. I wasn't very close to him, but we both served. Michael. We talked for about 2 weeks before it happened. He talked about how much he loved his mom, his brothers in the service. I thought everything was normal. That's shit we all talk about after coming home. He shot himself over the phone. I still can't get the sound out of my head. Navy took 2 weeks to send a chaplain. Then Sis was involved. When I returned home I found out that he had left Iraq for me. He left a rucksack for me and I couldn't do anything for him. He gave it to his parents and had asked them to give it to me. Once did many military funerals. I was asked to help out on one, but it was a shit time. Saturday, early morning. I praised the memory of a young father. I presented the flag to his 5-year-old daughter. Her mom died of cancer a few months ago. That was the hardest moment of my life. I had to look a little girl in the eyes, no tears, and give her her father's flag. That's what broke me. My boyfriend blamed me in his note and professed his love for someone else while condemning me. So sorry. Even though nobody was mentioned, this specific note stays close to my heart to this day. My dad is a retired detective, and one day a few years ago he came home from work visually distraught. I usually talk to him about his day, so I asked him what's wrong and he told me a young man, I think around 22, had committed suicide, and the note broke his heart. I asked what it said and it read something like, "Mom, Dad, I'm sorry I couldn't be stronger. I hope to see you both someday in a place that's beautiful." Best friend hung himself in his room. New Year's Day 2015. Left one note saying, "I'm so sorry, Mom." On his bed. She found him. So he didn't mention me. But it's the same topic, I suppose. His mom and I scattered his ashes together, and she gave me a jacket and necklace of his that he always had on. Haven't taken the necklace off since, and I have a tattoo of his birthday on my arm. It really affected me heavily, and I developed bad anger issues from it all. I'm much better now though. Edit. Goes without saying, but I urge everyone to talk about the issues they are facing. Took me 4 years to talk about my friend's passing, hence, having talked about it now, I'm a lot better off. Talk to someone. My girlfriend killed herself a little over a year ago. We were fighting and I was planning to leave her. She sent me a message that she hoped her death weighed heavy on me for a long time while I was sleeping. She was dead in the bed next to me when I woke up. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I hope you're finding healing. Not really, just regrets and nightmares. It's 4:30 am. I'll go to sleep when the sun comes up. Sleeping at night it's difficult. I remember when a friend of mine for 10 years died. It wasn't a traditional suicide note. He told me over Skype. I still have the conversation saved. He told me how good I was to him. He told me how I was like the angel Michael to him. He called me his brother. I tried to stop him. I tried to contact his relatives. His sister didn't care. I still remember that night. I kinda remember him waiting for Diablo 3 to be released. He died before it did though. I wish we was still alive. We would have laughed at the irony. Diablo 3 was terrible when it came out. Oh my dear beautiful Jay, you would have ducking hated the piece of shit it was on release, and we could have both laughed at the irony that you stayed alive long enough to see it. My best friend, since I was 13, texted me one night. This guy was more a brother than a friend, and even lived with me at one point. I don't remember the exact details of the message. It was 2 a.m. But he said he couldn't fight any longer. He had cancer as well as depression. Said this was it, and when I woke up in the morning and got this, he would be gone. He said he loved me. I hopped on the phone, called the police in his small town. Stayed up waiting to hear something. 2 hours later, I get a text from him. My friend, he calls me a mother ducker, says he knows the officer, and just really starts going off on me. How could I do that? I texted back saying I didn't care how pissed he was, that I love him like a brother and would rather he be alive and hate me than bear it in my best friend. Few weeks later he texts me and thanks me. Thought all was good. Months go by. Didn't talk as much as we had. He had a daughter, got engaged. Our friendship was hurt from that night. But we were still there for each other. He was living his life the best he could, and seemed happy. My family moved away. 2 hours less contact. He's still good. Though months go by, and he drops by my work for me to meet his daughter, I'm not there. We text some, talk on the phone. 2 months later, I get a Facebook. Go to his page to add him, and see he is memorialized on there. I freak out, search his name and find his obituary. He fought his battle the best he could against depression, but it overtook him. I hate myself to this day. We were one-on-one friends. Didn't have mutual friends. No one could get a hold of me, or cared to. I missed my best friend's funeral and didn't even know he had passed for 2 months after he was gone. I thought giving him his space was good as he was building his life, but it turned, he didn't know I was there for him.